all information regarding this update is available on the blog. So you just go to the TeamKinetic webpage. You can always do this, and it's really useful resource for information. This, so I don't know if people are not aware of it or never been to it. Take a look because you're going to find it. If you use the system on a daily basis, you definitely want to take a look at the blog because there's loads of minor updates that we put out from time to time and just interesting stuff on there for you. So you click on the blog button at the top, scroll down here, and we've got one which says a 2.5 update here. Okay. There's also one for the big help out up the top here, which I'm going to come on to at the end. Okay. So those of you interested in the big help out stuff, you can wait on at the end, and I'll go through that. It's kind of a second part to this video. So under the 2.5, TeamKinetic 2.5, click on there, and it tells you all about these different features that have been added. And for each one, it's got watch it in action, which literally is a how-to video, like an idiot-proof guide, exactly how to do the things that I'm talking about. So that should be what you're referring to. Yeah, so without further ado, let's crack on. Now, the first feature we're looking at, I've done them in the same order as what they are on the blog. So the search filters is the first feature we're going to be looking at. So essentially, when you're logged in as an administrator, you go to the search volunteers page, and we always had these filters at the top, which was great, and I'm sure you've all used them many, many times. Okay. Now, what we allow you to do now is, we know some people were saying, you know what, I have the same filters. I want to order them by, I don't know, by age. Say it was age, that'd be a bad example, but I want to order things in a particular way, and I always want to order them that way. So what they're having to do is create the filter, go in there, filter by age, for example. Say they're only ever interested in people who are over 21. Exactly. Okay, more than 21, and it will bring those up. And here, 35 people are over the age of 21. And they say, well, I always wanted to show this. Okay, or want to be able to find these people very quickly. What you can do now is save that filter. So this save button is actually saving that filter criteria that we just set. So I save it, and I put in a name for it. Save. Then at any point in future now, when I come into this page, so if I go into this page again, in the saved filters on the right-hand side, once it's loaded up, I've got demo over 21. I click on that, and it automatically brings up the filter. Okay, so that's really useful. Now, what else you can do on top of that is, if you say, well, that's great, I can see you can add all your filters down here, and there probably is 2 or 3 that you use quite frequently for your particular setup in your organization. What you can also do is edit it and mark it as default here, save it, which means that next time you go to this page, the next time I just click on the volunteers tab, it will automatically open up with this filter already applied. Okay, so it's going to be a really useful thing, and I'm almost certain that we're going to have lots of interest in that and people using it. Any questions over that? Just ask the question if you can. Unmute yourself.
Just me then, Steve.
Yep, sure. Yeah, no worries.
Can you filter on top of your save filter?
Yes, you can. Yeah. So if we bring up, so if I pick a filter here, demo over 21. It just brought up the filter, and if I wanted to, I could say, well, I want to find people who their gender is male, for example, as well, and I can just filter. And then if I said, actually, I want this new filter to be saved in future, I can click on the save button and say over 21 males, save, and now that filter is in there.
Okay. Well, thank you.
No worries. Any other questions regarding this function? Good, good, good. Next one is improve the look and feel of the emails. Now, I know some of you have been wanting this for a long time. Now, just to give you a bit of background, we always allowed, when you're creating bulk emails, you had the ability to kind of change, let's load it up, the ability to kind of edit the text and kind of the formatting tools, make it bold, put images in there and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't available on all the other emails within the system. So what they've done now is basically done that, made it available for all of the emails that you send from anywhere within the system. So if you go to I don't know, the volunteers search page, you decide you want to send an email to these 2 volunteers. When you click on the email button, it comes up, and we have this toolbar at the top. So the kind of key things within the toolbar, there's obvious things you'd expect. So you'd have like there you go. Here is my content. Give myself some text to play with. There's obvious things like your bold and italics. I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs with that stuff. There's also things like your hyperlinks. So if you want to hyperlink out to a particular thing, You know, it could be a hyperlink out to something that you've actually put within your resource library. It could be a hyperlink out to something on your actual website. But you can add hyperlinks there, which will ask you obviously to put in the URL and the rest of it of where it's going to send it to. You can also put images in there, which I'm not going to go through, but you click on the image, click on upload, choose the image, send it to server, and then it will appear within the email. And if you really want to go to town, you've got this source button here, which actually shows you the underlying HTML code. If you don't know what HTML is, don't worry about it, ignore the next 10 seconds. But this will allow you to kind of really go to town if you want to and kind of customize it to your organization's kind of branding, etc. Okay. Is there any questions regarding this feature? No? Oh, okay, expected a couple on that. And like I say, that's available everywhere. So if you're emailing... Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Can I check, because before you couldn't put an attachment on there, so you were uploading a picture. Can you upload an attachment then?
You can insert images. You can't put an attachment on this page. But you know what? It's something which I'll mention that to the dev team, and I'll mention that to the dev team because there's no reason why that shouldn't be in there really. Possible email. So leave that with me. Okay. Any other questions? Perfect. Okay. Next we got volunteer self-reporting. So what we've realized kind of over the years of doing this is it's great if you've got all your volunteers to record all of their volunteering hours within the system. Perfect. That's what you want in an ideal world. But quite often, a number of the people who are volunteering on your system, they also run an under 12s football club or scouts or something like that, which is not, the opportunity hasn't been created in your system. But the volunteer is still volunteering. And you may be interested in, letting them actually record that information within the system, what volunteering they've done. Okay, so we allow them to do that now. So now if you go into a volunteer, go to this one here, Christopher Gura, whoever that is, made it one. Okay, and I impersonate that user, so it's going to log me in as if I'm the volunteer now, as you know. He says it's taking a while because we're screen sharing. Okay, when they go down to opportunities, okay, you've got this section here, your extra volunteering, where you can click on the add button, and this is the volunteer. They can put in what did I say before? Boy Scouts, something like that, and they can put in the number of hours that they did, 3 hours, helping out at Scouts, and they can add those, and that's recorded from the volunteers side. If you want, now obviously, if you want those hours to actually be recorded within the system, okay, in terms of like a normal opportunity, then you have to as an admin, you need to verify those hours. So as an admin, because you don't know whether they're real, like say, so you want to verify them. So as an admin, when you go down to hours, extra volunteering section down here, okay, I need to refresh the page, don't I? But you've got these buttons down here, and you have a verify button that you can select. I'm just going to refresh the page now. Okay, there's the Boy Scouts one there, and there's that verify button. So by clicking on the verify button, it comes up and says, okay, here's the title. It's going to add it as an actual opportunity within your system. So here's a title, Boy Scouts. You're going to have to select a provider. Okay. So that might be a generic provider that you create specifically for extra volunteering, or it may just be yourself as a provider. You choose the category, how many hours, you're just going to match what the volunteer has said, and you click on the add button, and that's going to log it as if it's a proper opportunity that's been created in your system, and it will appear on all your reports, etc. Okay. Any questions over that, self-reporting? Good. Okay, checking email deliveries. So this is number 4 of 7 that we're going through here. So number 4 is checking email deliveries. So I know quite often you get kind of calls from volunteers, and they'll say, I didn't receive that email. No, I definitely haven't got it. And you can check these things now very easy. You could check it before, but we've made it even easier for you now. So anything like that, if you go down to email and messaging log, Oh, I need a volunteer with some emails, don't I? Okay, email and messaging log, and you can click down here and you can see the actual email that's been sent. Now, what you're going to see on this page is you'll see the ability to check. It will say check email will appear on the right hand side. Okay, when you select that, it's going to actually check, tell you, yes, it was sent and it was opened. It will tell you whether the actual email was opened as well. So this is really useful. You can say, no, it was sent on this date and you did open it on this date. It can help you get to the bottom of the communication issue. So yeah, hopefully that's useful. I haven't got the actual verify button on this volunteer, but you'll see it when you do it yourself. You'll see it appearing there. Okay, any questions over this? Checking the emails.
So can I check, would that be something you need to check on an individual basis? You know, what if you sent an email, the same email to 10 people?
You'll, I mean, you can check. Usually what you find when you send an email out, if it gets to one person, it's getting to all of them.
Yeah.
Now, without getting too technical, I probably had this conversation with a few in the past. You know, it's one thing you sending an email out, but it depends on the email server that's receiving it, on whether it goes into a spam folder or gets binned straight away or ends up in their inbox. So there's only so much control you have over them actually receiving it and actually being able to read that email. It would let you know if it's sent out from our system, and we do track whether they actually click on it and open it. So it will tell you that much. Yeah, on top of that, if you need to do like a number of people, usually if you find out if it's worked for one of them, then it's worked for all of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I also ask, I think this came up before, and I think Rolf was saying that he changed it, but I noticed the same. I mean, I still don't have lots of users, but we're really working on our program now, and that should change. But what I noticed was I might have been sending out, although I don't have, might send out 10 emails, 20 emails to the same, like recently the book festival, 20 people in the book festival. So sent that out, but you would go back in maybe to do something else. Now those ticks were retained on there. They don't seem to be clearing. So I've previously sent 20 messages and I go back into the system and it's still got the ticks on the 20 people.
It's
So
on the search volunteers page.
yeah, when you go and search volunteer, and I maybe go and I tick my selection of 20 people,
Yeah.
and then I'll email and do it whatever. But then when I've gone back in, those ticks are still there.
Yeah, they probably will be. I mean, you could always
You've got
select
to
all and
watch for that
deselect.
in case
Yeah,
you're
watch out for that. Yeah, I'll have a chat with the dev team about that. It's supposed sometimes you may want that. You may say, well, if I click on a page and go back to it, I still want to see those ones are selected. But there may be other instances, as you've just said, where you say, actually, I don't want that. And if you're not sure, you can always click on select all and deselect. Then you know that definitely none of them are going to be selected. But I'll have a word with them about that and see if there's something else we can do.
I think the worry there is just obviously in terms of you maybe don't realise, and then you're sending an email or something, that you shouldn't be to the appropriate person. But it's just something to keep an eye on, I think.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a good point. Okay, thanks for that. How to hide inactive volunteers on an opportunity. So we know if you go to an opportunity, you've had this before, and it's been going on for 3 years or 4 years, and you've got kind of a couple of volunteers on there who were there for the first 6 months, but you haven't seen them for 2.5 years. In that scenario, you may want to kind of mark them as finished. You don't want to remove them from the opportunity because they were actually on that opportunity, but you might mark them as finished, so it separates them from the kind of active volunteers that are still turning up. Okay, and that was available on the flexible opportunities. That's always been available. Well, that's been for a few years now. It's now available on all opportunities, so on your session-based ones as well. So if I can show you how to do that. If I go to a session-based opportunity, litter picking was one, with some volunteers on. Okay, click on the volunteers tab. Load up the volunteers up here. You can select the volunteers and you can, in the blue action bar at the bottom, you can mark them as finished. Okay, if I select test hail, there, mark as finished. When I click on mark as finished, I get the extra option of saying, well, do you want to hide this volunteer from the provider side as well? So when the provider goes to this page, they can't see this volunteer as well. And also you can prevent the volunteer from joining more opportunities if you want. Okay. Click on the update button. And now it's going to appear in an extra table down the bottom here, which I'll refresh the page for you. Okay, down here. And if you want to kind of reactivate them and send them back into the normal volunteers list, you can click on this button here, and that'll kind of restart them on the opportunity. Okay, so yeah, very useful tool. Any questions over that feature?
Is there a way of doing it if a volunteer does leave an opportunity, how we can still capture the hours that they have done as a volunteer?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you just finish them on the opportunity, their hours are still captured. It won't affect anything else.
Yeah.
The only thing it actually does is just move them into another table down the bottom here. I don't know if is that what you meant, or have I misunderstood?
It's more if it says someone says, oh, I don't want to do this role anymore, or they physically remove themselves. How do we keep a record of what hours they've done up until that point?
Just mark them as finished, and then the record will still be how they're against the volunteer. I mean, they'll still be in this table down here, but from all intents and purposes, from the volunteer side, they're not going to be on the opportunity.
What about if they delete their account? Does that mean we just lost all their
If you
history
delete,
and all their if they like delete their own account, have we lost all that hours and information?
Yes, I mean, there's a conversation. It's quite a lot. It's quite a complex kind of conversation about exactly what happens when you delete. Depends on how they deleted it, and this depends on your setups and your super admin settings of what actually happens to them. But essentially, if they delete a volunteer and delete themselves, it removes any identifiable information from the volunteer, but it will still keep their hours. Because obviously you have to, if they've removed themselves, then you have to remove it. You can't not remove it. But we keep the number of hours and the opportunities are on. But there's no, so in your reports, it's all going to be there. So if you go to your report pages, all the hours, your hours won't change just because you've deleted somebody. But what you will see is obviously the volunteer won't be able to log in. The rest of it, because it won't have an account and you won't be able to see their name anywhere. If you search for the name up here, it would no longer appear. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think I'm going to have a little play, but yes, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Merging volunteer accounts together. So sometimes, I've seen this a few times over the years, you have a volunteer who, that tends to happen, they tend to register and then they try to log in, they forget the password, and then instead of resetting the password, they just register again using their own personal email address as opposed to the work one, using a different email address. That's when I've seen it before anyway. But there may be situations where you say, well, I've got 2 volunteers and 2 accounts on here for a volunteer and it's the same person. If you ever go to a volunteer, so let's go to test Hale, this volunteer here. Okay, you can go down to merge volunteer. You can type in the name of the volunteer that you want to merge this information into. Okay, so I can choose this one here. Now, if I click on the merge button now, it's going to merge this volunteer's data here into this volunteer's profile, and it's going to delete this volunteer from the system. Okay, essentially merge them. Click on the merge button, and it tells you all that down there. That's it, they're merged. Any questions over that?
Hi, Steve. Sorry, it's probably in relation to the last section that you had there.
Well, you missed your chance.
Sorry.
Go on, it's fine, go on.
Sorry. So just while I've got you here, right, because this is a sort of current question, right, so see in terms of deletion of volunteers, and considering also I'm meeting the finance manager who wants to go through your GDPR and so on, right, now, so can I just check, I know you will have this somewhere and I need to go back through it, but in terms of, you know, somebody's registered themselves, so they've read the privacy notice, so they know they've given us permission, they've put their data on there. What about in terms of is it a case of we can leave them on there like forever? What if they haven't, if it's been over 2 years or something like that, should we be cleansing them? Or because they've given permission, what should we do in terms of adhering to GDPR?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a good question. I don't want to go into too much during this. This is about the updates, but I'll just quickly tell you a couple of things that might clear that query up for you. So obviously, you're the data controllers, so you have full control over the data. And you're right in terms of information governance. You should only hold information that's relevant. You can't just keep it for the sake of keeping it. You're absolutely right, and that should be the case. Okay, you have within the super admin super admin settings, you have options where you can set somewhere down here, you can system, I think it is. You can set how long a volunteer is kept for volunteers. It'll be, there you go, auto finish period. So you can set how long a volunteer remains on your system, and if they don't, you know, they haven't volunteered in X number of months or years, then you can get the system to automatically delete. That's what these options are about here. Okay, so that's something you can set up. I mean, it's down to your own, like say you're the data controller, so it's down to your own kind of policies, I suppose, of how long you keep that information.
That would remove an active volunteer.
Won't remove an active volunteer.
Like, say somebody's been with you for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So, and you set that to 2 years. It's not going to suddenly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different things. If you know who the volunteer is, and the volunteer says, "Can you delete my information?" Either they can click the delete button, log in, and delete their account, or you can go to their account and delete their account. I think it says close, actually, close their account, and that would do the same thing. It'll anonymize their information, keep the hours, but they'll disappear from the system. So that's down to, you can do that manually at any stage.
Sorry, I'll come back because I don't want to. Obviously, you don't want to take up this whole session.
Hold on to the end if you can, and I'll have a chat.
Yeah,
no worries.
Okay.
I'll have a chat, a longer chat about that, show the ins and outs on your system. Okay. Right. So that is merging volunteer accounts, and 7th, last but not least, sharing private notes with providers. So if you go to a volunteer, you can leave private notes, which, as you are aware, hopefully, are recorded for your purposes. My notes on this volunteer, and any any administrator who logs into the system will be able to see this note, and it's date stamped as well. It says just now, but it'll put the date in there tomorrow. Now, some of these notes you might think, actually, this is really useful, like really useful for providers to know as well. Struggles with getting around or something like that. You can click on share this note with the provider and click on add note. It's going to add it in the normal way, okay, but it's actually when the provider goes to the volunteer and clicks on private notes, because providers can also leave private notes. It's they're going to see that note that you've left as well. So it appears on your private notes page and the provider's private notes page. Okay. Providers, they can do exactly the same thing. Okay. So if a provider goes to a volunteer's profile page and they leave a private note, they have a little option here which says share note with administrator. So they might have experienced something with a volunteer. They think, I know the admin probably needs to know about this next time they're talking to this volunteer, and they can add the note in there as well. I'll get shared. Any questions over that?
Steve, presumably that's just for the provider that volunteer is linked to only, not other.
Yes, because the provider would, absolutely right, because the provider wouldn't be able to click on the volunteer's profile unless they were linked to him.
Okay.
Yeah, because the providers can only see volunteers are linked to them. You're absolutely right. It's a good point to mention. Yeah. But if they click on the volunteers, if the provider clicks on the volunteer's name, they also have private notes in here, which you may have seen if you've been in a impersonator provider. And yeah, it works in exactly the same way, but in reverse. There's another question over there. I think I heard a ping there. No? I'm sure I heard a ping. Okay. And that is 7 out of 7. So I suppose the question is there any questions? Question is there any questions? That is the question.
Are you going to talk about
Big Help Out?
Yes, thank you. The integration thing.
Yes.
That.
I'm going to come on to that. I thought I'd section it, put it at the end, because some people may not be interested, and they may say, fine. If you're not interested in the Big Help Out and sharing with there, then feel free to leave. That's no problem at all. If you are interested, then I shall take you through that now. So in terms of the Big Help Out, let me share my screen again. If you go to the blog, okay, the TeamKinetic website, and go to the blog page at the top here, okay, there's one that says new TeamKinetic integration for the Big Help Out. If you click on that link there, it takes you through to this blog page, which gives you a video, which my colleague's done, which is really useful, okay, and it's very clear, and it's going to talk you through exactly how to link your systems together. So for those of you not aware, who are thinking, what is this Big Help Out thing? The Big Help Out is a government initiative that's taking place. and it's basically like a bulletin board for other systems to advertise opportunities on there. That's what it is. So it's run by a company called DoIt. They're the ones this year who have created this additional kind of big help out system. But the thing is, we need to link your TeamKinetic system to the big help out system, okay, in order for you to be able to create opportunities and then share them on that system, which makes sense, doesn't it? For those of you in Scotland, you can create opportunities and you can share them with the Volunteer Scotland system. It's just a very similar thing. It's just sharing your opportunity with the big help out system. Okay, so how do you do it? Do you want me to actually show you how to do it?
I think I might have done part of it, but I think what I really wanted to know was, is the big help out and DoIt separate almost? So in other words, can I share my TeamKinetic roles onto DoIt? I don't think necessarily for us the big help out part of it is going to be so useful, but just the ongoing roles that we have. Presumably DoIt is going to be like, an ongoing platform.
Yeah, you can.
You can link to. Is that right?
DoIt's a platform. They've been around for years.
Yeah, they closed and then they reopened again, and
they're going to be. It's open until the 31st of August for this big help out, but the plan is for big help out to be around for the next 3 years. So I suspect it'll be back again.
So do you think? So Vicky, that's helpful. So do you mean that like DoIt won't exist after August?
I think they'll probably just close the app down for the end of it, and it'll probably be resurrected again for next year. I wouldn't like to be held accountable, but we've been told the app will be there till the end of August.
Okay. So it's not
more than me by the sound of it.
It's not all that then, really, is it? Because I mean, it's great if you're really involved in the big help out, but if you're actually just wanting to sort of spread your roles a bit more widely on an ongoing basis.
The issue that we had with it last year was, it was great that obviously it's another place to advertise opportunities, but we as a volunteer centre didn't know who'd signed up on it and who the volunteers were, so we couldn't give them any support or promote other opportunities that were in the area that might have been interesting. So I think that's why this year there's been a bit more of an integration, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a little bit of work further forward on it as well.
Right.
Can I just
Steve.
interject here?
Hi, Rob.
So you're right in that the big help out is like a subset of DoIt, and they call them apps, and that app will disappear when the big help out finishes at the end of August, start September. But DoIt will still be around, and the link you have is with DoIt. So you can after the end of August, you'll still be able to share your opportunities into DoIt, the large system as a whole. And they've added a feature now where we tell them the link for volunteers to go back to. So the volunteers get shunted back to your website, whatever that is. And if they want to join, that's where they'll join. So you won't have that problem of not knowing the volunteers stuff. So it acts more like a notice board.
Thanks for that, Rolf. Does that answer your question? Yeah. I'll give you a quick rundown. Do you want me to, people interested, do you want me to, this is always scary, isn't it, do you want me to actually link a system up to it and you can see how the process works? Anyone be interested in me doing that? Yep. I'll take silence as a yes. Okay, no worries. So basically, this is the process here, high-level overview. So you're going to log into TeamKinetic as an admin. Okay, you're going to go to a particular page where I'll show you this in a second. And it does show you all this, by the way, in that blog. It's step-by-step guide with the video. You're going to go to settings, API, and integrations. You click on a link within the TeamKinetic system. It's going to open up a new tab to the DoIt system. Okay, it's going to open up in a new window. Okay, it's going to ask you to register on that DoIt system. When you register on that DoIt system, and also, and it's also in terms, it's registering you with the big help out system as well. Okay, you then have to generate and copy the API from that system within that system, and then paste it back into your TeamKinetic system, and then that's it basically. You get a drop down to select whether you want to, when you want to share opportunities, do you want to share it with the big help out, or do you want to share it with the DoIt system? Or I guess you can do both. But that's how that's how the process works. Now, if you don't know what API key is, don't worry about it. It's just a little string of numbers and letters that both systems have saved, and then it allows the systems to talk to each other. That's all. So you're logging in TeamKinetic as admin, you copy in this API link, okay? Clicking on the link, clicking on the link button, it's going to open up a DoIt page where you put in your organization's information. You're then going to copy the API key, paste it back in your TeamKinetic system, and you're done. Okay? And I know for some of you, you're going to be like, that sounds really complicated. It's not actually. I thought it was initially, but I had to play around with it. Let's have a, give it a go. So if I go into super admin settings here, go down to setup and go to API integrations. Okay. We've got a separate box down here, integrations for the big help out. If we click on haven't got a DoIt account yet, it opens up a new page now on the DoIt page, as I said it would do before. Put in my name, email address, my email address I'm going to put in, made up email address, put in a phone number, put in a password. Agree to the T's and C's, continue. Okay, enter the code we've sent you. So it sent me an email through now to that email address. Okay. So I'm just going to go to my inbox for that email address. You know, like you would go to Gmail or you go to your Outlook or whatever it is. Hotmail. Here it is here. It's giving me this code. This is just DoIt, checking that my email address is a real one. That's all this bit's doing. You probably see this on lots of other websites. Okay, copy the code, go back into here, paste it. Yes, I'm real. I'm not a robot. Okay, then it asks for my organization details. Select what type of organization. Select what it's about, purpose. And down the bottom here, click on continue. Ask for this. Email address. God, that's right. There we go. Continue. Okay. It says you want to add admins in there. You don't have to add admins in there. Click on register organization. T's and C's. It says the big help out. Okay. You're now partnered up with the big help out. Go to the home screen. So all we've done there is you've gone to your TeamKinetic system, you clicked on that link, it's taken you to the kind of registration page and DoIt, you've put in your details, and that's where we are now in the DoIt system. Now, the most complex thing you have to do, I suppose, is go to org settings, integrations, and we need to get that API key. So we need to put the key in from this system back into our TeamKinetic system, so they're linked together. If I generate a new key, copy the API key, which is that big weird piece of text there, go into my TeamKinetic system here, paste it in there, and save. That's it, saved. So now when you go to create an opportunity, for example, promoting and sharing, down here, you've got share this opportunity with a big help out. If I say yes to it, there, it says, well, which ecosystem do you want to share it with? So you've got the DoIt account here, your standard kind of DoIt account. Then you've got the big help out one. So you want to choose the big help out. It says 2 in that drop down there. Okay, make sure you choose the big help out, and that's it. When you create the opportunity, it will automatically appear on the big help out system.
What happens if, sorry, Steve, if you choose the other one? Because I chose the other one on one of my opportunities, and it has appeared on DoIt. But is that not right? Do I need to change?
Yeah, you need to change that. Yeah, because the DoIt system is a different system from the big help out system. Although it's like they've developed it.
But what's the difference between the two? I don't really understand.
They're like 2 different volunteers.
They've sort of carved up the DoIt platform.
Yeah.
So this app they generate, which for the big help out, that it's got its own website, its own front end, which is badged up and branded up for the big help out, although it's being powered by the output from DoIt. So if you just include your op on DoIt and you go to the normal DoIt site, you'd see your opportunity, but you wouldn't see it on the big help out site.
Okay. I mean, is there no value in having it on both? I mean, or Why does it have
I
to
don't
be
think
one
so.
or the other? I don't really
I'll check with DoIt to see if DoIt is like a superset and it includes the big help out opportunities. I don't think it does, but I will check and feedback to you about that.
Thank you.
And ask if it is possible to have it on both. I mean, I haven't written in any ability to do that. It's share to one or the other at the minute. You can't share it to both, but I'll check. Obviously, the big help out is going to be quite transitory, so
Well, that's
after a while,
kind of what I was thinking, I suppose, that if like DoIt's an ongoing thing. I mean,
I would imagine that they will. It seems a sensible idea for them to subsume all those opportunities from the big help out when it stops, if they're ongoing.
yeah,
and
onto
if they're going beyond
the
that.
other one. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
but I'll check. I don't know the answers. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that, Rolf. Yep. So yeah. So you saw. I've just showed you how you can do it when you create an opportunity. You can go and edit opportunities, go down to sharing, and you can do the same way. So if it's an existing opportunity, you can just go to it, click on sharing, choose a DoIt app, and then you get the drop down here where you're selecting the Big Help Out 2024, and click on the share button. And that will share that opportunity. Then not just on your system, it's also going to appear on that bulletin board of the Big Help Out system. Is there any questions over this? Like I say, there's step-by-step instructions. I know we got a bit caught out earlier on, but there's step-by-step instructions on here. If you watch this video, it shows you exactly what I've just gone through there. Okay. Oh, any other questions over anything else I mentioned today? You're good. There's actually loads of other updates in there, so you're probably going to come across stuff and you'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know that." So there is. Well, we just had there's only 7 major points, but there is lots of small, hundreds of small, enhancers that we do within the system. All these updates. So anyway, hopefully you found that useful. And if you got any questions, feel free to on the chat, ask a question on the chat. Probably the first point of call. And yeah, and if you're not sure how we're doing this stuff, make sure you go to the TeamKinetic blog, and you're going to have step-by-step instructions on how to do everything that I've been through in the last 46 minutes. So if there's nothing more, I shall let you go on your merry way. And yeah, have a lovely afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine. The sun's still shining out there.
Now.
Yeah, it's here. Okay, I'll see you later. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thanks, Steve. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.